The storm rolled over the desert like a beast, swallowing the horizon in black clouds. Dust and thunder merged as a wagon rattled into the small town of Dry Creek, carrying a handful of people desperate enough to sell anything for survival. Among them was a young woman, pale and exhausted, holding her swollen belly as the wagon lurched to a stop. Her name was Clara Wynne. She had walked nearly 20 miles before someone gave her a ride into town. When the wagon master shouted for help, no one came. The people nearby turned away. Nobody wanted trouble, especially not from strangers. Then through the crowd, a man stepped forward, broad shoulders, weather-beaten face, eyes steady as a mountain stream. Rancher Elias Cole. "You all right, ma'am?" he asked. Clara tried to speak, but her lips quivered. They said they'd sell me for my debts," she whispered. Elias frowned. He saw the bruises, the torn shawl, the hopelessness in her eyes. "You don't owe them anything," he said. "Not while I'm here." The wagon master scowled. "She signed the paper, belongs to me now. I can trade her off for what she owes." Elias took a step closer. "No one belongs to anyone. What's the debt?" $20, the man said. Elias reached into his coat, pulled out a pouch, and tossed it on the dirt. The silver coins hit the ground with a sharp clink. "Paid," he said. The man bent to pick them up, but Elias' boot came down first. "And one more thing," he said coldly. "You ever try to sell another human being again, I'll make sure you're the one standing on the block." The man froze. Elias kicked the coins toward him and turned to Clara. "Come on," he said gently. "You're coming with me." Elias' ranch lay miles outside of town, near the foothills of the Sierra. The cabin was simple but sturdy, stone fireplace, creaky porch, 2 horses tied out front. When he helped Clara down from the wagon, she could barely stand. "You rest," he said. "I'll get you food." She shook her head weakly. "You shouldn't have done that. You don't even know me." He looked her in the eye. "Don't need to. You needed help. That's enough." He made her soup, brought warm water, and gave her his late wife's blanket. She tried to protest, but exhaustion won. That night she woke to thunder and a sharp pain in her belly. Her breath caught. It was time. Elias heard her cry from the barn. He ran inside, panicked, unsure what to do. "Clara." She gripped the chair, trembling. "It's coming. I can't do it alone." He never delivered a child in his life, but he remembered enough from the night his own wife passed, the night their baby hadn't survived. He clenched his jaw. Not again. He boiled water, fetched cloth, and stayed beside her through every cry, every breath, every desperate moment. Hours later, just as dawn broke, a baby's wail filled the cabin. Clara collapsed back, tears running down her face. Elias handed her the tiny child wrapped in his coat. "It's a boy," he said softly. She smiled faintly, whispering, "Thank you," before drifting into sleep. Elias sat by the fire, the baby in his arms, and for the first time in years, felt something like peace. Days passed. Clara regained her strength slowly. She helped with cooking, fed the animals, laughed softly when the baby grabbed Elias' beard. One afternoon she looked at him and said, "You saved me and him. I'll never be able to repay you." Elias shook his head. "You already have." "How?" He smiled faintly. "By reminding me what it's like to care about someone again." She stared at him for a long moment, eyes warm and full of gratitude. "The world isn't kind to people like us, Elias." "No," he said, "but maybe we can be kind to each other." Spring came. The land turned green again. Clara worked in the garden while Elias mended fences. The baby's laughter filled the yard. One evening, she walked to where he stood by the corral, watching the sunset paint the sky gold. "I think it's time I stopped calling you rancher," she said, smiling shyly. He turned. "Then what'll you call me?" "Home," she whispered. He said nothing, just reached out, resting a calloused hand on her shoulder. The wind carried the scent of rain and earth, the smell of a new beginning. Years later, people in Dry Creek still talked about the quiet rancher who once stopped a cruel man from selling a desperate woman, and how that woman, instead of being broken, built a new life from ashes. They said she gave the ranch its name, Second Sunrise, because that's what it was, a place where the lost could begin again.